and welcome to Heaven Rules All. Thanks for joining me again. I appreciate it because I know you're one of the few people who really want to know the truth. Okay, today I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. From the age of 13, I had prophetic dreams that would come to pass. I sort of wondered what in the world is going on. You know, as a teenager, it's sort of shocking. As I grew older, though, God helped me to understand that He was showing me these things not to scare me, but to teach me how to trust Him, to know Him when He would come and speak to me, and perhaps preparation for the future, maybe perhaps now, for a time such as this. So I'll tell you a few dreams that I had years ago that did come to pass. One was a dream about the Chernobyl accident. In my dream, I saw this giant man running across the earth with a great mushroom cloud plume for a head. I knew something terrible was going to happen. I didn't know who to tell or, what to say if I did call them and tell them. And a lot of times people tend to be a little leery of dreams. They get a little nervous and they think, oh, this stuff is not real, until it does happen. So, which is sort of redundant in telling them because they won't believe it a lot of times when you tell them. So move fast forward. I think in the 90s, again, I had a major, even between those times, I had a lot of dreams that were, prophetic, but they involved smaller situations. And so I'll just stick to the ones that would stick out in my mind as major. Okay. In the 90s, I had a dream. I saw a lot of Koreans, heads laying on the ground, cut off, no bodies, just heads, all dead, laying on, just sitting up on top of the ground. And I think a few days later on national news, it spoke of flight 007, the Korean jetliner, which crashed. I think the Russians made a mistake and hit it with a missile. And I was so devastated by it. I felt like, oh my God, I could have told someone, but who could I have told? And if I called the airlines or called someone, would they have believed me? So I sort of went on and just sort of passed that off. I think I had also one about a United aircraft back in the 90s. It was so clear that I could see the red numbers on the aircraft. Well, needless to say, a few days later on the news, there it was, the aircraft with the numbers had crashed. So I'm truly believing that God was just trying to prepare me for this time so that when I speak to you, I'm confident in knowing the truth. And so I'm confident in telling you what God has shown me for the future. One dream that was actually documented by PAX Television on the show It's a Miracle, which used to air in the late 90s and 2000. It documented one of my visions that had come true. It involved me when I lived in American Samoa in the 90s. While there, of course, I was single, divorced, but I had one son who was about 4 or 5. I dreamed that I had another child giving birth in the hospital. I saw the man I would be married to, saw the child. He was Caucasian because the man in the dream was also Caucasian. And I heard a voice in the dream say, "It's not a girl, but you'll be just as happy." But the bad thing in the dream was I saw that I had a surgery, a major surgery. And so I woke up from this dream terrified, glad that it was only a dream. However, 9 years later, the dream come to pass. I was married to a Caucasian man. I gave birth to a biracial son who at that time looked more white. So in the dream, it was true. And went through a horrendous surgery because it was an emergency. And it wasn't a C-section, but emergency surgery. So I almost lost my life, and the child almost lost his life, but we survived through God's power. So I just want to let you know that God is in this time taking time to speak to many of us, not just myself. A lot of times people are too busy to hear from Him. They're busy working. They're busy with issues in their lives to where they can't hear from God. But He still speaks in dreams and visions, just as He spoke to Solomon. Even in the book of Joel in the Bible, it tells that in our day and this time, that God would speak to young girls with dreams, old men would see visions, and all people would be spoken to because God wants us to prepare and know what He's about to do on this earth. He doesn't want people to be ignorant. People like to blame God for things. But God is a God that warns humanity. Humanity usually disobeys God, and therefore they run right into what is to happen. So let's move on from there. I want to tell you today that God has also shown me some visions about what is shortly going to come to pass in America. And one of the visions he showed me plainly, brought this map clearly up to my face in the vision, showed me the states. It was as if he's wanting to let me know, okay, I want you to look at this carefully so everyone would know what states I am going to destroy when I annihilate America. I saw all of the border states that border the south portion of America. From California, I saw it was gone. All of the southern states, Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, Louisiana, all those states were gone. There was nothing left, only water. The sea was coming up on the part of the land that was still left, and that was more or less the middle states that was left. Okay, so the states I did see that was left was a small portion of North Carolina, some of Virginia. I saw that some of the upper states, Ohio was still there, Boston and Massachusetts was still there, Canada was still there, and I'm sure some of the upper states was left, because the border I saw was just water left on the southern states. There was nothing left, nothing. So I wondered for several days, well, God, why is it that those states are the states that were annihilated and are no more? And I believe also some of the western states, such as Arizona. I didn't see Arizona anymore. Sin City, Las Vegas, of course, was gone. So I wondered several days. I pondered in my mind, well, Lord, why is it those states have gone and some of the other states are still left? And he spoke into my spirit just as quickly as lightning. He said, those were the states who enslaved my chosen people. He said, my Hebrew chosen people, African Americans, they enslaved them for 400 years almost. And that is why I will destroy them. It is because, as he spoke in his word in Isaiah and other places, he said he would destroy every country and every place